Hi guys, thank you so much for coming. I'd like to introduce myself first and all of the panelists. So this is the Global Health, Mental Health discussion, and we're so excited to have you here. I'm a current senior at Westborough High School, and I'm serving as the current president of Global Health Awareness Initiative. I'm so grateful to have such amazing panelists who dedicated so much time to this event, and thank you guys so much for your time this evening.
My name is Sarah Yu. I'm the Vice President of Global Health Awareness, and me and Marina have been playing this for about a few months now. And we're so excited that it's come into play. And we're so glad you're all here, and we're also glad for all the panels. So we're going to first start with Miriam, and we're going to have her introduction.
Hi everyone, I'm Miriam. I'm a senior at WPI, and I'm also a grad student. I also am an engineer at Logic. So yeah, that's me.
Hi everyone, my name is Aditri. I am a WHS alum, and I am a first year at Brandeis University studying biochem and health science. And I was the previous president of Global Health Awareness Initiative, so I'm really happy that this club is going well.
Hi everyone, my name is Butamina. I go to Holy Cross in Worcester, so I'm right around the corner. I'm so happy to be here today and share kind of my experience so far. I hope it's beneficial to you all, and I'm looking forward to all your questions.
Hi everybody, I'm Mr. Roche. I'm one of the school counselors here. I'm so happy to see some of my students in the audience, and I'm excited to see what you guys think after.
Hi, I'm Cara. I'm also one of the school counselors here at the high school. And thank you for being here.
Hello everyone, I'm Cara Presley. I am the Director of Youth and Family Services for the town of Westborough, and I am so honored that these folks invited me to be here tonight.
Hi, and I'm Mr. Wolfson. I'm the school counseling department head here at Westborough High School. I'm going to be serving as moderator tonight. So I have a group of questions that were pre-submitted by people in the community, and the panelists have some answers prepared and have some discussion. We're looking forward to it. So as we go, I'm going to read the questions and direct some of the answers. If you are watching the recording as we're going, you'll see the question on the screen, and you'll be hearing some answers. So the first question, and this is, kind of directly and indirectly also connected to a lot of mental health, is what if I am undecided in my major as I'm going to college? Why don't we have Miriam and Mr. Roche talk a little bit about that?
All right, so personally, I think that you're not alone. A lot of people go into college undecided, and that's perfectly normal. You shouldn't be stressed out. You have time to figure it out. Your first year in college, regardless, is usually general education classes, so math, science, your humanities. So a lot of those classes can count for different majors most of the time. And my advice in that case would be try to go to a liberal arts school or a school that is big. So that way, if you want to switch your major or want to experiment with different majors, you have the ability to. So in my case, I go to WPI. It's very engineering and tech focused. So if I were to switch, I would have had to stay between the engineering fields. But if you would like to explore a lot more options and you know that engineering might not be the thing that you want to do, I strongly recommend going to a liberal arts school where you can experience different classes and have an easier transition from one major to another.
So when I'm meeting with students, a lot of students don't know exactly what they want to do for the rest of their lives. I must say I went into college thinking I was going to be an actuary, and most of you probably don't know what that is, but it's a lot of math. And here I am, I'm a school counselor, so obviously that wasn't the path for me. People change majors all the time. I know I'm not the only one in the counseling department who changed their major at some point. And just like Miriam said, some of the bigger schools have programs specifically designed for students who are undecided. I went to UConn, and I know a lot of people there were part of what was called the ACES program. I know of a student who's going to UConn next year and is going to be part of the ACES program, and they're just so excited about it. It's a specific program for those students who are undecided, and it helps them guide the way, kind of. And just know, a lot of students go in undecided. It's, you know, if you're pressured to know exactly what you want to do, just say, hey, I'll figure it out, okay? Do you want to add to that too?
So speaking from my own experience, I go to the College of the Holy Cross, which is a liberal arts school, like Miriam said. And at Holy Cross, everyone goes in undecided, which is really nice. I don't have to declare a major until spring of sophomore year. And when you apply to college, especially at these schools, often you get accepted based off of who you are as a student and not the major that you choose, which is really nice. That's why I love Holy Cross. And so just kind of to add my own touch to this question, I'm a second semester freshman, so I've been in college for a semester and a half, and I've already changed my major 3 times. So it's really common. And all my professors, my advisors, they support me, they help me transition. So it's completely normal if you don't know kind of where you want, but definitely do as much exploration you can do in high school to kind of gauge your interests and kind of where you think you'll end up being.
And just to add from myself, I've declared a major, I changed my major 5 times, and I've never had a job in my major. All right, so on to the next question. And this is a 2-part question. What is the most efficient way to handle workload and not have it affect your mental health? And how will I find mental health support in college? And this is for all the student panelists.
All right, so for me to stay organized, I love Outlook calendars. You're gonna have an Outlook calendar most likely in your college. So just use that calendar up, put your classes on there, put whatever meetings you have, if you're meeting with your teammates for a project, just keep it all in there. It's a good way to keep it in one place to not forget about it, and you usually get reminders, so it'll be very helpful. And keep a planner, so it will really help you organize your workload, make sure that you are on track to finish everything that you need within the deadline. So that would be one other thing. And then do not oversign yourself up for things that you want to do, like extracurricular activities. Definitely feel free to sign up for a lot, but be careful to not sign up for way too many that you're very busy and you're unable to focus on your academics as well. And surround yourself with like-minded people, because if you are friends with other people that share the same goal as you, they're going to help you just work towards the same goals, the same like homework, so you're getting them together, so that would be awesome. And to tackle the support, I would say that a lot of schools have mental health programs and counselors and services that are for free and very confidential. So you would definitely feel free to go and talk to your counselor and be honest with them. They'll definitely give you the support that you're going to need.
Yeah, so going off of that, I think that if you procrastinated in high school or you tended to procrastinate, it'll definitely become your worst enemy in college. So just make sure you're planning your assignments out ahead of time. And I use a Google Calendar myself to just space everything out, my clubs, my assignments, projects, tests, just making sure you have time for everything. And also there are a lot of distractions in college, like hanging out with friends and other events. So just make sure that you have your calendar set and ready and all your assignments in place, so you're not scrambling to finish up your assignments at the last minute. And also, in terms of like support, there's a lot of resources on campus. Like Miriam said, they're very confidential, so you can trust them. There are also a lot of counselors you can go to. My school, I'm pretty sure other schools do this as well, but they offer a lot of mental health and wellness activities and events that you can go to, which I definitely recommend because they help relieve stress and just calm you down, get you ready for the day, just make use of those resources.
Yeah, very similarly to what the other panelists have said, kind of like the general rule of thumb in college that I found has worked really well for me is the second I get an assignment, I start it, even if I do a problem or two. Starting things once you get them is really helpful. There's really no such thing as procrastination in college. It won't work out. In terms of studying for exams, it's kind of, in high school, it was easy to maybe study the night or maybe 2 nights before an exam. But in college, it's definitely kind of like a daily thing. So for example, I'm taking organic chemistry this semester. I don't know why. It's fun, I guess. But it's definitely something I have to do every day. I have to do problems every day. And tomorrow I have a big exam. And if I didn't do that, I'd be totally screwed. So some classes in college definitely require you to plan ahead. Definitely find a method for you in high school that works. So if a physical calendar is what works best for you, implement that in high school. High school is like the perfect time to start all these techniques so that once you get to college, it's smooth sailing from there. I know at a lot of colleges, I don't know about you guys, but we use Canvas. It kind of breaks everything down into to-do lists. So I was a very adamant agenda user, but in college I found that this Canvas to-do list works perfectly fine for me. So yeah. And then in terms of mental health, at Holy Cross, we have tons of support. During our first year seminar, we have mental health specialists that come and talk to us and inform us of all the resources available, which is incredible. During orientation, we get, so very similarly, we get all of our resources, so we know exactly who to reach out to if we ever need to use those resources. And also professors are really great with mental health. They really understand that college is overwhelming and there's a lot to do and simply there isn't enough time usually. So a lot of professors are really nice and lenient sometimes with assignments. So if you really need time, they'll be happy to give it to you, which is really beneficial to mental health. It kind of takes off some of the pressure, which is really nice. And professors are great about that.
All right, thank you very much for that. So our next question, again, another two-part one. How can I help someone with depression? And if I notice my deteriorating mental health, how can I get help? And that one's for Ms. Presley and for Miriam.
All right. So I think it's important just to say right up front, start talking about mental health now before you go to college. I see some parents and guardians in the audience, and I think just face, just help your students and you all just face the realistic likelihood that at some point, if you're not already impacted by some negative mental health symptoms, you may be when you go to college. It's such a huge transition that the likelihood that you or a friend will be negatively impacted with mental health symptoms is just there. Up to 20% of young people experience depression before they're age 18, and as many as 40 to 50% of college seniors or college students in the last few years have been known to report clinical depression symptoms. So this is just a reality. So I think the important thing to start out with is to destigmatize the conversation. There's nothing shameful about experiencing symptoms of depression or anxiety or any other mental health disorder. But what makes it hard is that people don't know where to go or how to talk about it or who to talk to. So my advice for you, if you have a friend who is struggling, talk to them. Let them know that you care. Let them know that you see something that's different. Let them know that you're there to help them, support them to get help, whether it is you take them to the counseling center or you accompany them, or if they're not interested in seeking help, you getting consultation from someone at the counseling center or from a resident advisor in the dorm or any adult on campus, staff person who can help with their resources. I just say as a friend, it is not your burden to carry if your friend is struggling with their mental health. And so on the other side, if you are struggling with your mental health, my biggest suggestion is to seek help and support sooner than later. As soon as you start feeling like, oh, this is not going well, I'm feeling blue more than I'm not, or I'm really having a hard time getting out of bed, or I'm not sleeping well at all, or I'm really having trouble concentrating, these are all signs that there might be some mental health stuff coming, and to get support with that sooner than later will help you so that you don't have to interfere with your academics down the road. And so that is the biggest thing I can say is start talking about it now and don't stop talking about it.
You answered it perfectly, so I don't know what more can I add, but building off of what you just said, definitely like be a good friend, give them support, be there for them, do whatever you can to help, but also don't take it upon yourself to just offer them all the help they need, because they will most likely need professional help. So it's good to encourage them to like go speak to a counselor or to advocate for themselves. And also the same case goes for you. If you feel like that you're not feeling that well, or that you're overwhelmed by everything that's going around you, feel free to also go to speak to a counselor and advocate for yourself, because you're your own voice. And if you don't speak up and if you don't say what you feel and how you feel, nobody's gonna know. So definitely tell your professors if you need to, that you need more time with this assignment, or your friend that you need some help from them that day, or you need somebody to like just give you company, just to be there with you. So advocate for yourself and advocate for your friends as well.
All right, thank you. All right, our next question is about time management. How do you manage your time between a growing social life in college and also focusing more on your academics or your career? And this one is for the student panelists.
Okay, this is a really good question, and there's a lot to be said. So my biggest kind of piece of advice is kind of plan when you're gonna have time for yourself, and plan when you're gonna focus on your work. And this takes a lot of discipline to kind of make sure the two things don't overlap. So when it's time to study, it's really helpful to know that this is the time that you're gonna study, you're gonna sit down, you're gonna get everything, or you're gonna work on what you need to get done, and don't let any distractions get in the way. And then when it's time to relax, to see friends, to do the other things that bring you, fulfillment, make sure it's okay to step away from the work and kind of maintain that balance. So this does take a lot of discipline, and there's a lot of ways you can practice this. So for example, I have an hour break between two of my classes. So what I like to do is I like to go to these cubicles in the library, which are just these isolated desks, which are incredible because I'm very easily distracted. There's people everywhere, just like what D3 said, there's so many people, there's so much stimulus everywhere. So it's really important to kind of step away and take that time for yourself. So I grab one of these cubicles, I sit down, I get my work done, and then say after I'm done with my classes, that's when I hang out with my friends. So it's really important to kind of maintain that balance and separate your time. And again, I really encourage all of you to kind of practice that in high school. Kind of just practice, because it'll only benefit you once you get to college.
Yeah, so going off of that, balance is definitely key. I know it's very difficult for everyone, even myself. And I would definitely say that finding that balance in college is 10 times more difficult than in high school. So I, like Bettina said, I also love using those cubicles that we have in our libraries. We have a series of them in our library basement, which we call the dungeon, because there's literally no internet connection or anything there. You can just completely isolate yourself and get all your work done. So I love to go there, just because I will admit that I'm easily distracted by my friends. So when I need to get stuff done, I like to go there and just completely focus, zone out, and just completely tune into my work. So just finding that balance between getting your work done and also hanging out with your friends is really important. Just planning your time in general. I like to make plans ahead of time, before the day starts. So getting lunch with friends or dinner, I'll call them and be like, okay, I'm free at this time. Are you free here then as well? We can go get dinner, because I'm going to be studying at this time. So just making sure you have a set plan for the day so that you have enough time to study as well as focus on your social life as well.
So for me, I love my planners. I'm holding mine right now. That's where I keep my notes as well. So I think a planner is a great way to just keep everything in one place, and just the satisfaction you get from scratching your tasks off is different. So that's one thing that helps me. And as I said earlier, Outlook calendars are amazing, and Google calendars as well. Any form of calendars that will help you maintain your meetings and your class times is very helpful. And keep in mind, professor office hours, they're very helpful to be on your calendar too. They can definitely help you whenever you need help. But going off of what I said earlier, surround yourself with people that have similar interests as you, maybe they're with you in the same class. If you happen to be a person that is able to study with other people, then it'd be awesome to just share the room with a friend, socialize for a little bit, but also get your work done at the same time. If not, make sure that you set aside time for your friends and then time for your work. And don't oversign yourself up for responsibilities. Just pick a few things that you're passionate about and you know that you love, and just give it your all. Things that make you happy, because they're going to be the buffer in your schedule. So that's my advice.
And just to add one other thing, a lot of students don't realize before they get to college that they may not be spending nearly as much time in class as they do when they're in high school. You could only be in classes maybe half of the time that you're used to in high school. So it gives you a lot more flexibility to figure things out. And like all the panelists are saying, make sure that you're staying organized with it, because sometimes more flexibility can cause, challenges as well. But there's a lot more room that you can build your schedule around and manage it so that you can fit more and more things in.
And can I just add one more thing? Saying no is okay. I think that's like one of the biggest takeaways I've come out with so far in college. Sometimes you can't do everything. So like if you need to go study, if you need to go do something, it's okay to say no to like whatever kind of side responsibilities you have, say like club meetings or, meeting up with specific people. It's okay to say no.
Sorry, I'll just add one more thing on it. So freshman year, you're getting a lot of freedom that you didn't have back when you were at home, most likely. So use it wisely, because I know a lot of freshmen that didn't know what to do with this freedom, and they did not manage their time wisely, and they ended up just behind in classes, or a lot of them didn't even keep on going with the college plan. So just be mindful of your time. Like Vitamina said, say no if you need to. Make sure that you're putting yourself and your academics first, because you don't want to fall behind, that you're not able to pick yourself back up.
All right, thank you, everyone. All right, so for our next question, this goes to that course load. How do I know what is a good course load for me?
So for myself, WPI has a quarter system, not a semester system. So typically you're taking 3 courses in a 7-week program. So every 7 weeks you switch up your courses. A lot of the schools will give you a structure. So you're most likely going to take 5 or 6 classes per semester. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, I'm not a semester system. But 4 or 5. Okay. 4 to 5. So 4 to 5 classes is usually the normal. Some people do end up taking 1 extra class, which is okay, but definitely don't overdo it, because you don't want to stress yourself. And underloading as well is a possibility, which is taking like less courses than what you need. If you need it, if you feel like you're not able to take a full course load, you can definitely speak to your advisor about something like that. So you'll typically have a structure to your schedule, and your guidance counselor or your advisor is going to be able to tell you how many is a good number to take.
For me, I know that I think it depends for each person, honestly, just how many classes you can take. It's more important that you care about your interest in the class rather than the number of classes you're taking, so quality over quantity, basically. It's also the same for high school as well. I know a lot of students tend to overload and take a bunch of AP classes just for the credit. I will admit that I was one of those students, but it's definitely important that you figure out which classes are really important for college, and you see which classes you're really going to use, because that AP credit, it sure is impressive, but it honestly won't be all that useful in college if they're not something pertaining to your interests. So make sure you take classes that are pertaining to your interests. And in college, when you're deciding how many courses to take, just make sure you keep in mind of your extracurriculars, your clubs, your free time, and any other commitments you may have in college, because it can get honestly too much if you take too many classes and also do extracurriculars and other events on top of that. So just make sure before you know how much you can take and make sure you choose quality over quantity. So just choose classes that you're actually interested in versus just doing it for the credit.
Also, a lot of just colleges will have a tracking sheet already pre-made for you with the courses that you're gonna need to take for your major, because you're not just out there picking whatever class you like. Of course, you're gonna get some like free classes or electives in humanities, and those would be the classes that you feel like you wanna explore and enjoy, but at the same time, let's say in my case, I'm engineering. Freshman year, I'd be taking a lot of math, science, and then as you progress, you're gonna take more specific classes that are like more oriented towards your major. And I overloaded all throughout my junior year. Was not the best decision, no rush. I ended up doing law, but I don't think it's a good idea to rush it out. You have time to figure things out. You don't need to overload yourself or overwork yourself, because you can just get sucked into this very fast-paced like life that you're not able to like enjoy what you're doing. So be aware of that. And I know that I was a WHS alum, and at WPI, a lot of the people that go there are just very, I guess, career-oriented, and they're very ambitious. So they tend to push themselves very much. Just be aware of that, and do not compare yourself to others. Just do whatever you think is best for you.
If it's okay, I just want to add one thing. So in high school, I took 3 AP classes, and out of those 3, only one ultimately benefited me, because the other 2 courses I had to retake. It was a requirement, just for like my interests and like kind of like my goals in college. So I highly recommend researching like the schools you're interested in to see what classes are required. And so you're gonna have to end up redoing it anyway. So AP credit kind of goes to waste in a way. And I kind of also wish I took AP classes and some of the common requirements in college. So like, for example, like AP Art, AP English, AP History. I wish I took, or at least I explored those options, because those would have really benefited me in college and ultimately reduced my course load in college.
Yeah, I just want to add to that really quickly. So I learned from my first semester of college that you can't just take all STEM classes. I am a STEM major, but I definitely would not recommend taking an entire course load of just STEM classes, because it can get really stressful and you can get really overwhelmed easily. So this semester, I'm actually taking 6 classes, which is a lot, but I'm able to manage it. But one of them is a theater class that me and my friend decided to take because we were just interested, and we were just curious to see what it's about. And honestly, it serves as like a stress reliever from all my other STEM classes. So I would definitely recommend taking a lighter class, or a class that you're genuinely interested in like the arts or whatever other subject area, to kind of lessen your course load.
That's kind of a nice transition to the next question, which actually is how many AP classes is too many? So if there's any more to add to that question.
Yeah, so kind of based off what we just talked about, every student's different, and every student can handle a different workload. Colleges don't require AP classes, so there's no rush to take as many APs as maybe your friends. In other schools, even at WHS, it's great to challenge yourself, want to take those extra little classes, but also avoid burnout. Even look at maybe some clubs that you're doing, some sports, and see how am I going to balance out with my AP classes? Because they do require a pretty decent workload, and we normally don't require you to take more than 3. Again, everyone's different. Everyone can balance their workload in a different way. But if they're figuring out, if I take an AP in this class, maybe look at something that can help you in your career post-high school. So again, I didn't take any honors or AP classes, and I'm here tonight. So you don't have to take 5 AP classes to have a successful college career and high school career. So
just kind of going off of that, we recently went through course selection with all of you. Unless you're a senior, then we didn't. The number one question that I get asked all the time is, how many APs should I take? And I'm gonna be honest, you guys are ambitious. And I, like Mr. Turo said, we don't recommend that you take more than 3 at a time, because holy moly, that's a lot. I see some of your schedules and I go, how is this possible? And some of those APs won't actually count towards your college college stuff. So keep that in mind, please, and don't overwhelm yourself. As much as I'm here to support you through all of that, just keep in mind, we warned you.
Like I said, I only took 3. I took 2 my senior year of high school, and that was plenty for me. It served me well. I got into a great school, so definitely quantity over quality, like a D3 said. Opposite, my bad, opposite. Quality over quantity. So yeah, don't overdo it, because in the end, if you don't do well, and say if you're taking like 5 AP classes and you end up getting 1, 2, 3s on your AP exams, it won't help you. So you kind of went through a year of pain. In the end, you didn't really, the result wasn't too beneficial. So keep that in mind.
This is a little specific to like pre-meds or STEM majors, but I would just say that the 3 major AP classes that in high school that you should take are AP Calc, AP Bio, AP Chem. I will say that those helped me a lot for this semester in college. And I think it also depends on the teachers as well. I think my teachers were really good in high school, so I had a really good foundation to go off of in college. But I think for pre-meds, like those are the 3 major ones. You should definitely, like, if you want to explore other classes, like you should go ahead and take it. But definitely just plan out and see what classes you really need for college credit and what will actually be useful for your major.
And one thing I'll add is that a lot of schools have a limit to how many AP courses you can count towards your degree. So let's say you take 6, you probably are going to end up being able to like count 4 of them. So again, like everybody said, research the schools that you might be interested to and don't overwork yourself for no reason. I'm also a STEM major and I only ended up taking 3 APs, and 2 of which are not very STEM related. One is psychology and the other is French. And then the third was calc. So definitely you don't need to overdo it. Do things that you enjoy rather than just pushing yourself to take things that you might not do very well in, or they might not even count towards your degree at all.
All right, thank you very much for those answers. All right, so our next question. What are some healthy coping skills to manage stress? Let's ask everybody on if they have some answers.
Keep talking. Talk to people about how you feel. Ask people how they're feeling. Keep the conversation going. Talking to friends, making sure you're not isolated. That's going to be huge in keeping yourself going and managing stress. Also, make sure you're sleeping enough. I mean, I was in college once, a long time ago, but we sacrifice sleep a lot sometimes in college. Don't do that. And eat regularly. Certainly, if you have mindfulness skills, if you practice mindfulness in any way, that can be useful. But honestly, also find ways to have fun. Make sure you're laughing and make sure you're connected to people.
I would say surround yourself by positive people, not people that will bring you down. So make sure that you're enjoying the company of the people around you and you're doing things that you like. So let's say you like to go for runs or to paint, anything that you really enjoy doing, keep on doing it and don't let your college life just take you away from it, because you're definitely going to miss it and it's definitely going to alleviate a lot of the stress that you're going to have. So just do what you love to do, and like everybody else is saying, just talk to other people. Your chances are you're not alone. You're not the only person who's stressed. Other people are like as stressed as you are. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely the people you surround yourself with will definitely elevate your mood or bring it down. So it's really important that you pick people to hang out with that will really bring you up and give positive vibes, because college is, like we were all saying, really stressful. So it's just really important that you're with people. Healthy competition is okay. I think that's honestly necessary, but if you're constantly with people that are bringing you down, it's not going to help with the stress of college and academics. So make sure you're with friends that will really support you, encourage you to try new hobbies, which brings me to my next point. Definitely don't be afraid to try new things in college. Honestly, I think that that's one of the best ways to cope with stress. I'm on a hip hop dance team at my school called Chaos, and I honestly think it's like a huge stress reliever from everything. I did own a little bit of hip hop when I was in high school, so it was honestly kind of new for me to join this team, but I definitely do not regret it. I really love going to practices every day and just, trying something new for once. So yeah, just if you're ever feeling stressed, definitely hanging out with friends, trying out new hobbies, trying out new clubs will definitely help cope with that stress.
So for me personally, kind of like the biggest waves of stress are typically the result of not kind of staying on top of my work. So if I know I'm super behind, then that's when I get really anxious and I get really stressed out. So just kind of trying to maintain some order throughout the weeks in college is really helpful. And other skills I think are really important, just like a lot of what the panelists have said, is sleep. Sleep is so important. I'm one of those people that need 7 hours of sleep at night minimum. So like sleep is so important. I could honestly tell how much more productive I am in the day when I sleep, and my stress levels are much lower because I know I can handle it. I have, the rest in my body to take on the challenges of the day. So definitely get your sleep in. And also, this is kind of an unconventional way to manage stress. But I'm actually a commuter, so my favorite things to do are kind of like the half-hour drives back and forth. So say an hour of the day, I get to de-stress, I get to, roll my windows down, put on my music in my car. It's a really nice way to manage stress. So if anybody has any questions about being a commuter as well, I'd be happy to talk to anyone. I didn't know that was even an option, but here I am, so yeah.
So from the counselor perspective, we obviously want you to have skills when you go off to college. So please, if you want help with that, come find us. My favorite things, I love the stuff that I can do while I'm just sitting around in a group of people and nobody notices. So I'm big on, breathing exercises. As an adult, I still have moments of major anxiety. And when I find myself in that situation, I just sit there and I breathe and I count. That's been super helpful for me. And also the second I get home, I'm usually baking something if I'm stressed. So do things that you love. I love to bake, so that helps me out.
Yeah, similar to that, I meditate very often and it helps for just anything, but particularly when I'm stressed. I sit there and do nothing for 10 minutes and it makes you kind of calm down and reflect and think about your day and reflect on what's been going on. So meditation, I think taking walks, if you have any pets. I love playing with my dogs and they help me relax, so if you have any pets to play with. And I think just overall, just not being hard on yourself. High school is tough, college is tough, there's a lot of transitions. So be easy, be nice to yourself, and know that you're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. But if you're putting in the effort, that's all you can do. And that's when you carry the day in a lot of different situations. So, and laugh. Make sure you laugh at least a couple times a day.
And to add to that, I often tell students, just because I'm suggesting something doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. And what I mean by that when I tell students that is find something that does work for you. Keep trying different things and even unconventional things. You hear about meditation and mindfulness, and there's lots of different ways to do that. I practice mindfulness, for instance, by listening to the same song on my radio over and over and over again. And I try to pick out an individual instrument that's playing as part of the song. And I try to follow that instrument all the way through the song. It really focuses me. I stop thinking about everything else that's on my mind when I'm doing that. So that's an unconventional way to do mindfulness. So, all right. So in the interest of time, because we don't want to keep you here much longer than 8:30, we're going to skip a few of the questions in the presentation. We want to make sure that we give the panelists the time to answer some of the questions really completely. At the last slide, we are going to have all of the panelists' email addresses. So if you do have follow-up questions, if something wasn't answered that you wanted to know about, you can reach out to the panelists. Of course, if you're at Westborough High School, you can reach out to your school counselor and ask any of these questions and anything else that comes to your mind along the way. So we're going to skip the next questions in the presentation, and we're going to just talk about something practical. Let's talk about how do you access and what can you do with advisors in college. That's going to be for Mr. Roche and Mary.
Okay. I've been joking with a lot of my seniors about advisors. I've been saying, oh, they're kind of like your school counselor, but just like not as fun and cool. I like to joke about that. But one thing that's super important to know about advisors in college is that they will not chase you down like I will, okay? If you need to set up a meeting with them, that's on you, my friends. Your advisor is typically a professor in the major that you have. So when I was an actuarial science major, I had an actuarial science professor as my advisor, and he helped me figure out what classes I needed and, you know, what route to take. When I switched my major to human development and family studies, I got a new advisor, and she was so helpful, helped me figure out what classes I needed to take and graduate in a reasonable manner. And she also helped me figure out, you know, my minor. So the biggest takeaway is you need to advocate for yourself. We try to teach you these skills as you go through high school to advocate for yourself, and it's just so important because in college, they will not talk to your parents. So parents in the room, once they're 18, the colleges will not talk to you. So students know that. You have to advocate for yourself, okay? Am I missing anything else? I think that's it.
Yeah, so exactly like Mr. Roche said, advocate for yourself because your first year you might get a general advisor for like as a freshman to help you out because a lot of us are undecided as we spoke about earlier. So those might for the first year like send out emails to check on you and ask you how you're doing, but after that you're on your own. So if you're not actively emailing them or looking for their office hours, you're not on their mind because chances are they have their classes going on, their research going on, and millions of other things that they need to take care of. So just make sure that you're advocating for yourself, asking the questions that you need to ask. If you're unsure about something, if you feel like your advisor didn't help you answer your question, feel free to go to another advisor. They're not going to get upset. They're probably not going to even notice. I literally spoke to every single professor in my department because I just wanted to get all of their opinions on some things that I was trying to decide on. So it's definitely okay to just not stick with one advisor. They're going to be okay with it. And like Mr. Roche said, they're not going to speak to your parents. And if your parents call, chances are some of them are not going to answer because they don't like these calls. So just advocate for yourself.
Yeah, just to add to that, for over the summer, one thing that really helped with my transition from high school to college was making use of my college advisors. So all of us were assigned a college advisor, and like Mr. Roche said, like you really have to put in that incentive and set up Zoom calls and like email them yourself because no one else is going to do that for you. So I remember I was feeling really stressed over the summer because I didn't know what classes I should take as a pre-med, and I didn't know what classes would best suit my first year in college. So definitely make use of your college advisors because I did like a ton of Zoom calls with them, and I planned out my schedule for the next 4 years with them, and honestly it just relieves your stress so much just having someone there to kind of like take you every step of the way because you're not alone. So they definitely make your transition from high school to college much easier, so definitely make use of them.
All right, thank you, everyone. Our next question is about how do you keep endurance and continue having motivation? What are some techniques to avoid burnout? That question is for Mr. Roche, Ms. Presley, and Mary.
So burnout is very real. I experienced it a lot my senior year of college. Honestly, sometimes I still experience it. It's something that you learn how to avoid. So just remember, there are options after high school. Like you can take a gap year if you're feeling stressed about, you know, high school. You're like, I need a break. Gap year's an option. You know, make sure that you're ready for that next step. I know myself and Mr. Turo, we, after undergrad, we went pretty soon into our master's. It was only like, I was only out of my undergrad for like 5 months before I started my master's program, but that 5 months really helped me. If I didn't have that 5 months, I don't think I would have been ready to move on to that next step. And my senior year, I also decided to be the president of 2 organizations on a huge campus and didn't know how to delegate tasks. So burnout happened real fast for me. So if you do end up taking leadership roles, learn how to delegate tasks so that you're not the only person doing everything for your club or organization. And just take that time for yourself, stay organized, and know to take the next step when you're ready.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is learning to say no to certain things if you feel like they may be too stressful. For example, if you're doing too many clubs and something just being too stressful, don't be afraid to take a step back and say, I need this time to kind of collect myself, recharge, and use that time wisely. Because burnout does happen really easily. It's really easy to get burnt out. And I think the gap year is a perfect example. But if you're not ready for a 4-year college after high school, taking a year to get ready, have a job, get some money, and you're about to pay for college in the next year. So being unafraid to say no and really using that time to recharge and kind of self-reflect on what's going on in your life and the next steps forward.
All I want to add is that if you are not going to college right away, which means if you're a high school student right now, even if you're a senior and you're not going to college for 6 months or 9 months or how much it is, start practicing self-care and stress management now. Go ahead and ask for help. Maybe even some counseling before you move on to college would be helpful to gain some new skills, to learn how to manage and mitigate stress, anxiety, and depression. Like I said, the numbers of people who experience those things are really high. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It's very common in our society. We have a high stress world and a high stress society. And I know that Westborough High School is a high pressure place. And so start getting those skills now, start talking, start asking for help, and explore whatever services or resources or skill building would be helpful for you now, so you have it in place when you go to college.
And I'll just add one thing. So one thing to be aware of is that if you are a student right now that does not have what you would call bad grades or a grade that you're not happy with, you will get those grades when you start college. You will have to face it and don't let it bring you down. A lot of people start their freshman years with C's and F's and they're not happy with it, but it's a huge transition. It's not easy. You're all going through the same thing, so you're not gonna be alone. Don't look down on yourself and don't let that set you back and feel like, oh, I can't do this, college is not for me. No, it's just a new environment, a new setting. You need to adapt to what's happening around you, to the new system. So definitely don't set yourself back and keep yourself motivated and have the mindset that you will be able to do it. You will get the hang of it eventually. And personally, as I said last year, I overloaded the whole year. I'm in a BS-MS program, so it's a little bit stressful. And I'm also, I was doing a co-op and working part-time right now. So space it out. Don't do that. Endurance is important and you don't get it overnight. You need to build it over time. So just make sure that you're not taking on a lot of things all of a sudden. Build it up, just like how you would if you go to the gym. You don't go and carry a 50-pound load right away. You just build it up slowly.
All right, great, thank you. All right, so we're gonna go through 3 more questions during the formal presentation. If there seems to be time, maybe we'll take some live questions, but we're gonna have 3 more for our panelists to answer right now. The next one is gonna be, how should I figure out which organizations to get involved in, connected back to what you're doing and those different activities. And within that, should those organizations be connected to my major? So for that, we're gonna ask the student panelists and Ms. Presley.
Yes, so I would say try everything, anything you have a remote interest in, just try, go to one meeting even, attend 5 minutes of a meeting if you need to. Don't limit yourself because clubs are often a space where upperclassmen come and you can have good communication with them. You can discuss a variety of topics. So you can engage new interests. So for example, at Holy Cross, I'm part of AMSA, which is American Medical Students Something Club. So there's a lot of upperclassmen there. I ask them about the pre-med classes, or if they're taking gap years. I get a lot of advice from them. So anything you're interested in, go see who's there, talk to them. And yes, I do think clubs that kind of align with your major and your career goals are important, but don't be afraid to kind of step out of that and explore other things as well.
I know a lot of colleges have club fairs in the beginning for first years, so make sure you attend that because that's honestly the best way to get involved in clubs. At mine, I just went around to different tables and just signed up for anything that sounded remotely interesting. So I'm on like a bunch of listservs for all my clubs and I get a bunch of emails. So if I'm interested in attending a meeting, I'll just go and see if I like it. Honestly, like Butamina said, I think that you should tend to take clubs that are aligned to your major, but if you're interested in other clubs, definitely take part in them as well. Honestly, it helps with stress relief as well, so there's no downside. One thing though is that you shouldn't overload yourself with commitments. One thing that's different from high school and college in terms of clubs is that I think in college you get more opportunities to become part of the leaderboard or e-board as we call it in clubs. And I feel like in high school you kind of have to build your way up there, but in college you're just kind of introduced to it off the bat. So I took up a lot of positions in a lot of e-boards over my first semester, which I honestly don't recommend. I think you should just pick maybe one or two clubs that you really think speak to you and you'd like to be part of their e-board, not just for the leadership position. So, because I think clubs in college are a lot more work than clubs in high school, especially if you're on the leaderboard. So just make sure you know which clubs really speak to you and you choose those clubs wisely if you want to become a leader in them.
Yeah, like everybody else said, your club, like the clubs for your majors are very helpful to network too, because a lot of the time they will set up networking nights with people that are alums of the school and like they were in the same clubs just as you are, and they will help you find a job or a co-op or an internship. So it's definitely something that is important to keep in mind, that it will set you up for success if you're surrounded by successful people in your major. But also, like everyone else said, don't be afraid to try out new clubs. I love the cheese club at my school. I try out a lot of different cheeses. So yeah, it doesn't have to be within your major.
Choose things that are fun.
All right, thank you. All right, so the next question, we're going to skip the panelist that was prepared to answer that is unfortunately not here tonight. So the one after that is self-care. How do you incorporate self-care and time for yourself in your school? So it's for all college panelists.
I think I kind of touched upon this, but take time to be alone. If you really didn't try to take time for yourself, I think every minute of the day you can find someone to talk to or something to do not related to academics. It's very much possible. There's just so much stimulus. So really take that time to be alone. Go to the dining hall alone, go study alone, be with yourself, and it really rejuvenates you. It kind of, gives you time for yourself that you need, that you wouldn't necessarily get when you're surrounded by so many other people.
I think there's a lot of stigma around being alone in college because you think that everyone's with their friends and then it's like, oh, I'm alone, it's kind of weird. But honestly, it's so helpful to be alone because it honestly, like Butamina said, it's rejuvenating. First semester, I was like always with my friends because I was so scared of, I don't want people to think I'm alone. But this semester, I think it's really important that I'm taking time out of my day to just sit in my room by myself, whether it's like just meditating or working on assignments or just like cleaning the room, anything by yourself, just kind of really resets your schedule and kind of like clears your mind. So yeah, it's really important to have that alone time in the day.
Yeah, I agree with everybody, but also like I think it's a good idea to do not rush into your classes right like the first thing in the morning. Just take a few minutes, like half an hour for yourself in the morning, Drink your cup of coffee, enjoy it, because otherwise you're going to be running around for the rest of the day and you're not going to enjoy that. So time for yourself in the beginning of the day and the end of the day is very important to just de-stress, make sure that you have all your thoughts lines up for the day, you know what you're doing, where you're going, where you're headed, what you have to get done. And at the end of the day, again, sit and reflect on how your day went and what you need to do for tomorrow. It just sets up your mind to be in the right place, and it really helps with self-awareness as well.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we're going to go to our last question in our slides. I want to get the student perspective, especially within this conversation, about what should I be prioritizing during the college admissions process?
So actually, I want our current seniors who just went through the college process to talk about this. I know I worked really a lot with these two during the college process, so I would love for them, especially since admissions has been very different the past 2 years, to talk about their experiences.
Do you want
Sure. Okay, so I think the most important thing is definitely starting early. I started researching schools like the winter, spring of my junior year, and I think it really helped me because I was able to pin down the schools that had the programs and, most importantly, the environment that I was looking for. At first, I was kind of only focused on just academics, but you're going to go to the school for 4 years, so you really want to make sure that it has the social environment and the values that you're looking for in a school. And even then, even though I started early and I worked on my essays, I think stress can be kind of inevitable during the senior year. But I think something that is really important is acknowledging every single step along the way, whether it be you finished a small Common App section or you went a college tour. I think I have some friends, and me included, who were kind of in the mindset of, okay, like once I get into this school, then I'll like take a break, then I'll like acknowledge my work. But no, I think you can't deprive yourself of what you love, especially during this time. This is a time where you have to really look back and reflect on all the work you've done for these past 4 years. And even though it may not seem like it, that's kind of what the college applications are for. They're for you to really realize your development and everything that you've done. So.
Yeah, I'd give like the same advice. I started pretty early, actually, because of Marina. She started super early, and so I was like, okay, I need to get started too. So basically what I first did was you need to do the Common App essay first. That's what I would say, because you get down, that's like the biggest part in the college admissions process, because that's like the biggest essay I think I had to write. It was like 650 words. And that essay, after you write that, there's also essays for your colleges. So you can get those done as well. You can't get all of them done in the summer, but you can get some of them done during the summer, and then they later release the rest of them, so you can do those as well. Next, I would prioritize, like, go to the schools. Go to all of your schools if you can. Even if you need to travel, sometimes it can be hard, but if there's like schools in state, I would definitely try to go to them, because you get to see like the students. I would even suggest try to go to colleges when there's students on campus. Like, that's what I think. I did that literally just yesterday. I went to 2 colleges yesterday because I'm still deciding between 2 colleges. So I went to both colleges yesterday. I talk with teachers, I talk with students on campus, I talk with advisors if I can, and I also try to talk with like any other like committee members and stuff like that around the college to see like exactly what the college is about, what their values are they aligning with my values, etc. And also, I would also prioritize yourself. Like, it's a really stressful process. It's like almost 3 or 4 months of your senior year, and you still need to keep up your grades. You can't just be like, yeah, I'm going to do my college admission process. Your grades don't matter in senior year. They do matter, because colleges do look at your first semester grades when they are looking at your application. So you need to keep up your grades, and you also need to do well in everything else. So yeah.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
And also make sure that you're talking to your counselor. I always say to students, I can be as involved as you want or need, or as little as you need, but I don't know until you tell me. You know, I try not to go chasing everybody to find out what they're doing. Sometimes I have to, but please talk to us. Tell us what you're experiencing. If you have a question, do not hesitate to ask us, whether it's email, set up you can book the appointment, stop by the office, and if we're available, we'll talk to you. We have meetings with you for a reason. So we do junior meetings and we do meetings during senior year, and we help you all throughout the process. You're not in it alone.
Yeah, I think also just being patient, and kind of realizing that there may be one of your top schools you get waitlisted on, but that doesn't mean it's your declined. It doesn't mean you're not going to that school, so being patient. And also kind of knowing the deadlines, if we're going to apply early, what those deadlines are. If you need any help, any advice on that, that's where we come in. And just realizing that this is going to be stressful, but you have the support around you to get through it, and it's okay to need help. Because eventually you're taking care of yourself and also taking care of those around you. So if you're feeling stressed, talk to your counselor, and it's okay to acknowledge that and take time for yourself in this process.
One big thing that I think you should definitely prioritize during the college admission process is yourself, like Sarah said. Definitely do not get discouraged if you get rejected from colleges, because it's inevitable. Everyone's going to get rejections. Just realize that there's so many factors that go into getting accepted into a college or getting rejected. So it doesn't matter, honestly, like if you get rejected, it doesn't reflect your potential or what you can do. It doesn't reflect how smart you are. Just realize that you are going to get rejected from colleges, and that's okay. I know that was something that really affected me, because in my admissions process, I got rejected from colleges that I thought I was going to get into, and I thought that reflected my potential, but that's absolutely false. You can do so much more, and that you should just realize that the college admissions process is a little iffy, and that you shouldn't, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just make sure that you prioritize yourself and realize that you have a lot of potential, and everything happens for a reason, so you'll end up in the right place.
For me, a few things to say about these questions, and not all of them are directly related, but for your college essays that are specific about the colleges that you're going to, one good thing to do is go to the college's website and research their clubs, see their professors and the research they do, and include that in your essays as to why you want to go to the school. It really helps the admissions see that you're actively looking through their webpage and that you're visiting their website to see what the college does. So it will definitely give you a bump there in the system. But also one other thing that you should be mindful of, whenever you get to the school that you're going to and while you're enrolled, if you ever feel like you're an outsider or you don't fit in, or maybe you got here by mistake, there is no chance. They picked you for a reason. You were there because they think you're able to keep going in that school and that you're a good fit. So don't second doubt yourself and don't just bring yourself down, but just be sure that you're in the right place. They picked you for a reason. They think you can do it.
I wanted to add a statistic that I was looking up on my phone from our school profile. And this is something I think Westborough should be really proud of. And this speaks to thinking about fit for individual students, and as you're going through this process and figuring out what makes the most sense. If you ever look at our school profile, you would see at the bottom of the first page that last year in the class of 2021, 314 graduates were enrolled in 120 different colleges in 26 different states and DC, as well as 3 foreign countries. Students at Westborough High School are figuring out what makes the most sense for them. There are many students who are the only Westborough High School student that's attending that college, even for all 4 years while they're there. So it is absolutely possible to find something that's going to be a good fit, that may even be a school that you've never heard of, that may not be the school that everybody else is talking about. Work with your counselors, talk with your peers, reach out to your alumni that are here today. There's a lot to this that thinking about it and really reflecting on yourself can really make a difference. And working all this back to the mental health and the personal skills with this, if you've ever seen one of our school counseling programs, presentations, senior night or orientation or anything like that, we talk a lot about student empowerment and how organization, ownership, self-advocacy, and inquiry can really help students figure out what makes the most sense, help them take the next steps in whatever it is that they're doing. That can apply to college admissions process, that can apply to managing time in college, that can apply to all sorts of skills. So as you're thinking about transitioning from high school to college, thinking about mental health, thinking about the application process, think in terms of how you can be empowered in that process. And those skills that you're using for that are going to help you with everything else that you're doing after. So.
Just one thing really quickly, some schools are really big on something called demonstrated interest. Holy Cross is one of those schools. So the sooner you can show them that you're interested in the school, the better off that will be in your admissions profile. So get involved with the tours, talk to students, email admissions counselors, even send them an email saying Happy Thanksgiving to like the admissions counselor, admitting like kind of your kind of like the students. So like I had an admissions counselor at Holy Cross and Westborough high school students. I would send her emails during holidays. It sounds like it's kissing up in a way, but for some schools that really matters. So keep that in mind and start as soon as possible.
One last thing, don't feel the need to sign up for like 20 schools or to apply for 20 schools. I think personally like 6 to 8 is a great number. For me, my counselor always told me 2 safety, 2 target, 2 reach. So I think this is the perfect number, honestly, at least for myself. I don't think you should be applying to so many schools that chances are you're not gonna even go there and you don't wanna even go there. So just pick how you wanna like, I guess, manage your time, because you don't want to spend hours and hours on applications that at the end of the day are not going to matter.
All right, thank you, Tom. I turn it back over to our host.
Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate your time. What you're seeing here on the screen is just the contact information for our amazing panelists here. Tanishka, she wasn't able to attend today, but she was also interested in coming here and being a panelist. If you want to take a picture of that, you totally can. And I think it'd be great maybe if the panelists would just go over a little bit after they are again, just so that if like parents have specific questions about like majors, they know who to ask.
Sure thing. So I'm Miriam, the first email on the screen. I'm a biomedical engineering major at Westborough Polytechnic Institute. It's my senior year. I'm also doing my master's, and I work as an R&D engineer, research and development at Hologic. So anything engineering related, WPI related, or college admissions, I'd be happy to answer questions about those.
I'm a D3, the second email. I go to Brandeis. I'm a first year, and I am a biochem and health science major doing the pre-med track. So if you have any questions about pre-med or just college admissions in general, I'd be happy to help.
I'm Bootsmina. I go to College of Holy Cross in Worcester. I'm a commuter. I can answer your questions about that. I went from being a bio major to a chem major to a math major with a stats minor, and I'm also on pre-med, but I am thinking, I'm pretty sure I'm going to take a couple of gap years to get some industry experience before, doing the whole med school thingy. So yeah, that's that.
Once again, I'm Mr. Roche. I'm one of the school counselors here. I hope you all know who your school counselor is, but if you don't, feel free to reach out to any one of us, or it probably should be on your power school. Check your power school. So yeah, I'm a counselor.
Mr. Terrell, another school counselor.
Cara.
I'm Cara Presley. I'm a clinical social worker, and I run the Youth and Family Services Department for the town of Westborough. And I really encourage you to call us if you have any questions about mental health services for you, your family, your neighbor, or if you need connections to social services or basic needs of any kind. Information about our department and my personal business card are in the back there as you leave, so please feel free to take as much material as you wish. Thank you.
And I'm Mr. Wilson, school counseling department head, and curious, I declared as a psychology major, switched to political science for same, failed a class, switched my major to economics, failed another class. Then I switched finally to studio art, where after I graduated, I worked as an accountant before going to grad school to become a school counselor.
That's it.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all for coming.